Colm and thanks for tuning in. This week we're going to talk about communication styles and the importance of us understanding different communication styles as we interact with people on a day-to-day basis in our work, in our lives. And I was at Pendulum Summit 2018 in January of this year, and Keith Barry, the famous Irish mentalist, was one of the presenters from stage, and Keith gave us some tips and some tools and some things to be aware of in our interactions with other people. And he reminded us that communication is largely non-verbal. What we say is one thing, but how we say it, our body language oftentimes can convey an alternate message to the one we're trying to get across through our words. I'm reminded of a story when I was working in Dublin many years ago. I used to work in a place called the Ilac Centre, a restaurant called Hallin's Restaurant in the Ilac Centre, and it was on the Moore Street end of the Ilac Centre. Moore Street, for those of you that don't know, is one of Dublin's great treasures. It's a wonderful live market street where generations upon generations of Dublin women mainly hawk their wares across stalls all up and down Moore Street, and it's just a wonderful experience. If you haven't been, go and check it out. Colourful and such a cacophony of sound. So picture this, if you would, please. Walking down Moore Street one day, and there's stall after stall of wares being sold by women of different generations, and oftentimes 2 and 3 generations of women on the same stall. And I came across this scene many years ago where there was a granny, a mammy, daughter, and daughter has a baby in a buggy. Right, so granny, mammy, daughter, and daughter has a baby in a buggy. So we're now talking 4 generations on the one stall. And this other stall holder from across the way comes across to ooh and ah about the new baby, the new arrival, little baby in its buggy, looking up, all strapped in. And of course, everybody's full of smiles. And she comes over and says, "Oh, Jesus, look at that beautiful, beautiful little baby, gorgeous." And the little baby's looking up, of course, full of delight because she's being attended to. And then, of course, the visitor bends down in real coochie coo fashion, as we've all done to babies in buggies. And instead of going coochie coo, she leans down and she says, "You're a little bitch. What are you? A little bitch." And of course, the baby's delighted with herself, and she's laughing, and the arms are flapping and the legs are kicking, and the mother is delighted, and the granny's delighted, and the great granny's delighted because the new arrival got some attention. But just think about that for a second. The words "you're a little bitch," "what are you, a little bitch," completely opposed to the body language which said "I love you, I love you, I love you, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful." So bit of comedy there, but just a good example of how words and body language can mean completely different things. Okay, so Keith Barry was one of the speakers at Pendulum 18, and Keith gave us some tips as to how we can bring our prospects towards a more successful conclusion more often. And that is around our communication style. It's around our verbal communication and indeed our non-verbal communication. And he gave us 3 tips that I'd like to share with you, if I may. He suggested that we need to learn to mirror our prospects. People buy from people they trust. People get to trust people that they know, and they get to trust people that they like. So the question is, how do you and I, in a very short space of time, how do we gain the trust of somebody that we've perhaps just met 20 minutes earlier? And here are some of the tips that can be used. One is we need to learn to mirror them. We need to learn to, if somebody is leaning forward in their chair, well then we need to lean forward in our chair. If somebody's leaning back, we need to lean back. If somebody crossed their legs, we cross our legs. If somebody folds their arms, we fold our arms. So that's mirroring at its basest. And it's not manipulative. It's just us finding the rhythm of the person that we're dealing with. People like patterns. We are pattern followers and pattern seekers as a species. People like them. So if your prospect gets to like you because he sees or she sees that you are like them, well then it's one step towards building that trust that's going to be needed in a commercial relationship. The second thing we need to do is we need to learn to pace them. I speak rather quickly, and but others that I've met speak rather slowly, and it appears that people speak at the pace in which they think. So if your prospect is sitting there and is speaking very slowly and very deliberately and very cautiously and in very measured tones, well then it really is important that you or I change our toning and our pacing to match theirs, to mirror theirs. And if we do, again, we're giving them the best opportunity of hearing what we're saying because we're speaking at a pace that they can understand. And it is one more step in them getting to know us a little more, to trust us a little more, to like us a little more, in the hopes that we can do some business. And then the third thing that Keith suggested we need to do is we need to learn to lead people. Now we have to be careful on this one, because we can lead people through inspiration, which leads towards a win-win outcome. We can lead people through manipulation, which is not good and can often lead to us leading people to a lose-win situation where they lose and we win. That's not good. So the objective is that we are looking to lead people towards a yes in terms of what it is we're trying to propose to them. But how do we do that? Well, we do that by asking them questions. We do that by asking them questions about the problems they're having, because amateurs sell products and professionals sell solutions, and professionals with integrity will only sell solutions if their solution is the right solution for the person presenting the problem. So charlatans out there are looking for any opportunity to take your money off you, asking all the right questions, getting you to say yes to something that really isn't going to serve your higher needs. What we're looking for here is we're looking to lead people towards a yes, assuming that yes is win-win for both parties. So how do you do that? You ask questions and you delve deeper into their problems, and then you're in a position to present your product or your service as a solution to their problems. And in doing so, you're leading them towards saying a quality yes, that's win-win. You can do so by getting them to say yes to small stuff throughout the conversation. Isn't it a lovely day? Yes, it is. We agree on that point, don't we? Yes, we do. Can you see where I'm going with that particular line of thought? Yes, I can. So you're looking to get your prospect to say yes multiple times in the conversation, because at the very end, you're hoping that your prospect is going to say yes to the solution that you're going to provide to them. You can also set the yes, which I found very interesting, a little bit scary to be honest. And you can set the yes by doing something like scratching your chin. So it's a lovely day, isn't it? And when he says yes, you scratch your chin. We agree on that point, don't we? And when he says yes, you scratch your chin. And eventually you get to the point where every time the word yes is used, you're scratching your chin. And at the very end, when you get to the point where you're supposedly asking for the sale, my dad, Tommy O'Brien, always said he never asked for the sale. He would conclude with a wonderful statement, will we get the paperwork done now? And of course, by scratching the chin at that stage, the prospect is more likely to say yes, let's, than no, let's not. So we've got to be careful out there, because there are charlatans out there who are looking to bait you and set your yes all through the conversation with one objective in mind, and that's to get their hand in your pocket. Twice in my life that I'm aware of, I've been led by charlatans who use this type of mirroring and pacing and leading towards a lose-win situation. Lose in my case, win in theirs. And the first one was where I met a guy many years ago, and I told him, I said, I know you, I like you, I think, and I'm deciding to trust you. And then we entered into a particular relationship, and it was definitely lose-win from my perspective, but I wasn't to know at the time. Young and naive. If I were to meet the guy today, which I could do, but I choose not to, and if I were to speak to him, which I could do, but I choose not to, I probably would simply say, back then I said, I know you, I like you, and I'm deciding to trust you, and now I would simply say, I know you, and walk away. Second time was where somebody a little more deft in his craft, dare I say, master at getting those easy yeses, a master at turning words to his own advantage, and master at this, we agree on that point, don't we? Yes, we do, and phrased in such a way that it's very difficult for you to say, no, we don't agree on that point. But then those words oftentimes were used to gain advantage, and not nice behaviour, but such is life. But however, those two experiences have put me wide to what's going on out there. And very recent times I met a guy, and from the moment I sat down with him, I realised this guy was playing me from the get-go. This guy was looking for lose-win for sure for me, and he was textbook mirroring, and he was textbook pacing, and he was textbook leading with all sorts of questions to try and get me to say yes. And I was watching the guy watching me, and it was scary, because he was looking into my eyes and he was trying to look for a weak spot. It was just awful, but at least I knew what I was looking for. So we got to be careful out there, right? We got to be careful that we're leading people towards a successful conclusion that is win-win for them. We've got to lead people through inspiration and not through manipulation. And we've got to be careful on the other side that we're not being led through manipulation, that in fact we're being led to, yes, win-win decisions through inspiration and not manipulation. And thank you for joining me for this week's Coffee with Colm. I hope and trust that you got something from it. If you have done and you think somebody else would benefit, I'd be delighted if you'd pass the link on. If it's your first time here and you'd like more of this type of stuff, go to the homepage, ColmO'BrienMotivation.com, leave me some details and I'll make sure you get a link like this on a weekly basis. Please make sure that you consider what's been shared here today and apply it into your thinking for this next week, and perhaps make some changes in how you're approaching or allowing yourself be approached. And then most importantly, please come back next week and we'll share another coffee together and I'll ruminate on some other aspect of business and life and see where it leads both of us. In the meantime, may I recommend you get some good coffee, get some fresh air. If you spend a lot of time alone, I recommend that you go meet some people. If you spend a lot of time with people, I recommend you go meet yourself and take some time alone. Get some fresh air, get some R&R, and when the time is right, and only when the time is right, get your head back in the game, get organised for the week ahead, get stuck in and make next week count. Talk to you soon. Bye for now. Oh, love great coffee. Talk to you soon. Bye.